got Dave
There's
back
Dave.
here. What up, Dave? He's pumped about this training.
Has anybody ever seen him stand up before? Did they know that he's that tall? He's always been seated?
If you all didn't know, because if you only see his profile picture, I'm 5'7". Next to him, he's literally a full foot taller than me at 6'7".
I remember Proof-A-Palooza. I saw him for the first time. I was like, wow, you're tall. And then in my head, I'm like, that's probably like what everyone says every conversation he comes in with people.
Oh, I know. Oh, it's wild. Yeah, when we raised our funding at YC, I loved his last kind of like saying was, and if you want to find me to invest, I'll be the tall guy in the back of the room. And it's true. When at the end of the session, there is a swarm of investors around him and he's shaking hands. And like, I just see a sea of people. And then this tall guy's head, shoulders above everybody else, looking down and just shaking hands and doing deals. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love Dave.
The guy's a monster. Just so good at making deals with people. By the way, speaking of deals, who is excited about the new SEO Surfer integration? It is freaking awesome that happened in less than 7 days, where now inside of the long form editor, you can, if you already have a Surfer SEO account, then it will show up in there and show you literally in real time as Jarvis is making content, what keywords you need to add, what content you should remove to rank your post better for SEO. It is amazing. And so a little later, I'll share. Actually, I'll just share it now. We don't need to talk about it later. We do have a deal with them that you can get a Surfer SEO account for $1 for a 30-day trial. It's pretty sweet. We're really excited about this because we're going to continue pushing the envelope on using Jarvis for SEO and creating high quality original content with AI. So if that's your motto, SEO Surfer integration is a no-brainer. Yeah, so you guys will love it.
I'm excited.
Let's see. Yeah, a ton of people are excited about this. Actually, the way it got brought up was a couple trainings ago. If you're interested in SEO, I highly recommend watching a couple weeks training on creating long form SEO content with Jarvis. During that, it was an amazing training where he brought up SEO Surfer, and Dave is like, what is that? That thing is pretty cool. And then everybody's like, all the comments were like, oh yeah, we use this tool. And we're like, guys, should we do some kind of integration with them? And everybody's freaking out. Yes, 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 yes. And so that planted the seed. We reached out to the CEO and made it happen. So literally we're listening to y'all. If you have tools that you like, if there's part of a workflow that like is a little bit, I'm copying and pasting here, or like I go from Conversion.ai to this platform back to Conversion.ai, like we are trying to make the workflow just tightened up. So let us know always. We are listening. In the Facebook group, just post tools that you like, and we want to connect.
So cool. So cool.
And Nate, I think that you probably might be sharing a couple tools in your LinkedIn tool belt today, because I know that you have some mentioned in your book, the LinkedIn High Ticket Handbook. This thing is great. And by the way, did you write that with Jarvis or with help of Jarvis?
Jarvis wrote it, and then I read it after I got my copy from Amazon. I'm just kidding. But I did think about putting in the intro, being like, and just letting you guys from here on out, like, this is written by Jarvis. So whatever it is, like, I'm on the journey with you, like as if I had never written it before. Yeah. Well, no, he did a huge percentage of it, like undeniably.
Yeah, well, you were also part of that 7-day book writing challenge with Jarvis, right?
Yeah. I took that challenge because, like even you guys, whatever, anyone that's on here that's trying to do business or whatever, just, pay attention to the conditions that you're in, right? So if you ever wanted to create a book, there's no faster way than jumping into a community of people who are doing it in a short amount of time with a cool tool, and like handling the like mindset of making that happen along the way. Because that's a big challenge. Like, it was a lot of work. Like, it was a lot of mental pressure to get that done. But totally worth it. But I don't think I would have done it, without like, you and Darby and them going through and creating that environment that we can walk into that'll, create us to do that thing.
Yeah, for
So yeah,
sure.
it was
And
awesome.
if you're interested in writing a book with Jarvis, there's a training on that one as well in the academy. Go to Conversion.ai/academy. If you're watching the replay, you're probably already there. Sweet. Well, a couple minutes here have gone by. I think it's time to hop into the training. If you guys don't know about Nate Morris, he is the high ticket expert, especially on LinkedIn. He's also crazy talented at like marketing automations, and I know you're a technical marketer as well as like an amazing sales guy, and you're using all of the hottest, newest tools. So I think that you're probably on the cutting edge, like most up to date technical marketers, and excited to see today what you do with LinkedIn specifically, because I know I heard rumors that like LinkedIn is this like great platform to land sales. But we're not really in the high ticket sales. We're in software side, but I know that we have meat on the bone. And so I'm today like going to sit in the student seat and listen. And I'm pumped to see what you to share. I also know that positioning yourself as an authority in a space starts on LinkedIn, and then you go to your site and other things. And I've checked out both your site and natemorris.com, and I've seen your LinkedIn, and they're both just spot on. So yeah, excited to see what you do today, man. Let's what do you have planned for us in this training?
I don't know. I just told Jarvis to create it, and I'm just gonna go from that. Tell us what he's gonna teach both of us right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly,
All
I
right.
learn from Jarvie every day. That guy is wise, funny, comical.
Oh yeah.
You ever give him the Joe Rogan voice, and it will have you bursting at the seams.
Heck yeah. Like Joe Rogan. Yeah, Jarvis is just gonna be our friend at one point. Like we can just be like, hey, if you ever wanted to hang out with Joe Rogan, right? You can just talk to him right
Oh
there,
my gosh,
basically.
that's an episode of Black Mirror waiting to happen.
Dude, yeah, you guys are pushing the envelope and making that stuff. You guys saw Black Mirror and you're like, we have to do this, and now we're here. So you're like, we just
Exactly.
gotta lead it, right? I'm pretty sure Elon Musk said that. Just whoever it gets there first. So
And how long about do you think that this training will be?
say like 20 minutes. We'll try to keep it like super meaty. Everyone's time is important that's on here. So let's like try to stick to things that are gonna be practical, education, a little bit of entertainment in there is always good. So
Sweet. And then at the end, we'll also do some Q&A that you can ask Nate questions. And yeah, let's hop in. Nate, take us
yeah.
away.
Absolutely. So I'm Nate Morse. I've been using LinkedIn heavily as my main source of getting clients for the last 6 years, 4 to 6 years. And I met Austin and Dave probably around 4 years ago. You guys were just like, actually no, maybe it was around 6 years ago. We had the Entrepreneur Alliance, right? I was in there, and then you guys launched Proof, right? And I have the shirt. And I went to Proof of Palooza. I was gonna bring the bobblehead that you guys gave me. I was gonna actually have it start with like the bobblehead right here, and then hop in. I thought that would be funny. But yeah, so since 2017, I've known you
We
guys.
did,
It's gonna be cool.
Proof is our other company, and we did Proof of Palooza, which is when we were in Y Combinator. We really wanted to like stir up some attention, and so we gave all customers who upgraded to annual a bobblehead of themselves. And Nate was one of the very first people to hop on that, and so now he has a bobblehead of himself.
Dude, anything you guys do, I'm early to hop on. I was the second one brought into Conversion AI, so I'm always jumping in right away.
It's true. Hey, one of the attendees is asking, can
Oh,
you
dude,
shine the light a
I
little
know.
brighter on your face? We want
I
to
don't know
see
how
that
to do
beautiful
it.
smile.
The light's all back there.
And right now,
Is that
you're at
better?
a mastermind in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was at my normal place, this would be perfect. This would be perfect right now. But I want to show you guys the city. I wanted to take you guys into Nashville with me as well. Um, and so I just want to talk about like an opportunity before we jump into this. Like if you guys look at where we're at, even in just like the human, kind of human history, like when I was a kid, like we didn't have like the internet like this, right? So you have generations of like DNA pent up desire to connect with other people, right? Whether that's for sales, relationships, whatever. And then, you know, 10, 20 years ago, whatever. Now the internet comes, and now everyone's connecting with everyone. You can find talent. Like everything's arbitrage. There's just so much opportunity for everybody on the internet, and so everything is a land grab almost, right? It's like learning and then doing the land grab once you have that knowledge. And part of that is the execution and going through and creating the pieces that are going to be on there that like you don't have to stand at the corner and like yell out what your product is. Like you can create content, put it out there, and now like that does the work for you to a degree, right? And I mean that's awesome. And then once Jarvis came along, like now you guys have the ability to do it like super fast. So you have a land grab, the best opportunity that humans will ever have, because from here on out people will have more experience, right, compared to each other. Like it'll never happen again where it's just the initial part. And so everybody on this call, like you're in the best point in human history, plus you have like AI that's able to help you like land grab at like 10x the speed that you were before, right? So it's like keep that in mind. So and going along with that, the reason that LinkedIn is my favorite is because when you're trying to connect with people, like you want to think of it, you want to make it as human as possible. So if you're walking up to someone, let's say you're on like Facebook, right? Nothing wrong against Facebook. This morning I did a live, and there's a leader. We can talk about Phantom Buster. That's a pretty good one. I just did a live in a group that me and Sierra, she might be on the call or she's at the mastermind. We have a group called Leader Forge on Facebook, and we actually did LinkedIn versus Facebook this morning. So I love Facebook, but on LinkedIn, there's a big difference. So let's say on Facebook, you're going to go connect with someone and you reach out and you hit that friend request button. When they, in their inbox, what they get, right, is they get a picture of you that you put in there and then like your name, right? And like, that's like, if I wanted to, go meet Austin and I just walked up to him and I just stood there, right? Like that'd be weird. So LinkedIn, you can actually add a connection note, okay? And so that gives you the ability to write a personalized message that is going to, actually drive urgency if you use it correctly. Most people don't. Most people flatline. And LinkedIn, posting is great, articles are great, but the actual like DMing and reaching out to people, like you have a huge ability there because you can customize that connection note. So, and this is going to be a huge value add for you guys. Even just what I'm about to say is like normally there's like 2 steps that people take, and like relationships, like dating and marketing are not really that different. And I'm sure Austin, you figured that out as well. And so there's like 2 approaches. There's one where they walk up and they're like, "Hi." I'm sure you guys get that in your inbox. Some of you have gotten it within the last couple seconds of me saying that. And they're like, "Hi." And you're like, "Cool." Now it's awkward. And then the other one is they come up and they're like, "Here's all these reasons that you should talk to me." And if we're like, at a place and I walk up to a girl and I say, "Hi," that's awkward. Or if I walk up and I'm like, "Here's all the reasons that you should marry me." Like neither of those are going to work that well. That's going to flatline. Okay. So what you need is you actually need relevancy. You need something that is relevant and drives urgency. So Austin, let's say that I'm going to add you on LinkedIn and I'm going to, add you, and then the connection note, it might be like, "Hey, I saw like, hey Austin, I saw that you engage in this post from Dave, like about proof and Conversion.ai. And like, I write blog posts too. And I also think that this new SEO integration is awesome. Like we should connect." Like now you're aware that I'm aware of you, like the real you, right? So that drives urgency because it's so relevant, right? So that's probably my favorite thing when it comes to LinkedIn, is the way that you can just pre-frame the rest of the conversation, because that's how it should work. If you're going to do something where you're prospecting and you're using Facebook or something like that, you're not going to be able to have it in that same way. That message is going to be put in the hidden inbox, right? So
connection requests and messages that I get just on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The way I know that most, like 90% of them are automated, is because my name on LinkedIn is Austin Distal, CMO Conversion AI.
You're one of those guys.
That's my last name, CMO Conversion AI. And so what I end up getting is all of these like first name merge tag fields. That's like, "Hey, Austin Distal, welcome. I want to introduce you to my, SEO business where I can, blah, 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 and it's hilarious. Like the amount of automation that's happening right now. I'm sure it works for them. Like I'm the oddball that like doesn't have their name set up correctly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so automation and like, man, like we'll use some because we have some really killer done for you services for our clients. That's called like Apex. So I know you're going to talk about tools, but we actually use our own because most of the automation out there, that's what you guys see, right? Is like you're like automation sucks, it never works. And the reason that you guys are saying that is because it's spammy. Like you don't know if it's automated or not. Like it's spammy. You're assuming that they're automated, especially if they're putting in the comma, right? And so you can use automation, but you have to do it the right way. So like for me, like I have team members that go out and research like the content and they go and find the people and then create the messaging, right? So instead of a shotgun blast of like, hey, sales navigator, we're just going to hit up all these people like a lot of people do. That's the same thing as you're like, hey, you look like this, so let's connect. And like, that's not that good. Like, so you got to go from the other approach of like, what's actually going on? Like if if there's like a proof event and you're there and you go to like, look at the people that are at the event, like hit them up about the event, like do it like that. And there's automation that, you can do it in that way. It's just that you can't take the lazy approach, right? You actually have to have a good strategy and then automate that in the right way. So most people just don't put in the effort. They're just like, oh man, like I didn't get any conversions, but if I just like 1000x all the messages I'm sending out, someone has to reply. And like, so now you guys see those guys because like it's easy. Anyways, you got to do it the right way.
Anders here in the chat says that good automation is subtle, winky face, and that's true. I think automation is key to scale. But also be subtle about it and still add your human touch.
And when you do get a message, you care if I keep going?
Yeah, keep going, dude.
Yeah. So when you do get a message from someone, right? Someone goes out and they go and they attempt to connect with you. What's the first thing that we do? Unless their message like sucks, right? Usually we're gonna go and we're gonna check out their profile, right? I don't know if about you guys, but like even like let's say I'm watching like a YouTube video, I'm like gonna go check out like more information before I even like watch the video, right? So even if someone messages me, I'm gonna go look at what I can while they're engaging with me. So that means that if you guys, whether you're using LinkedIn to create posts or you're messaging people, whatever your way of connecting with people is, whatever you're using LinkedIn for, when they go to your profile, you want it to be conversational and actually convert them and get them to engage with you, right?
What is like, how do you stand out from the crowd when if you are messaging a lot of people, if you're prospecting on LinkedIn, what's like a tip or two in that first message when you connect with somebody and you add that personal note? Like what's your strategy there?
I think it's about the content that they engage with, and that makes it really hard to do because that takes a lot of research. But I think it's, if you notice that people are engaging with certain things, like let's say that you guys make a post about like SEO, right? Like if your target market is in there, they just like raise their hand for that topic and they're interested in it, right? So if you're looking at the content that people are engaging with, you can actually find your avatar in there and then like spark a conversation. Because like if you're going to go up, I'm in a bar or whatever, I'm talking to a girl, the right way to do it is to walk up and be like, hey, like that guy, that thing that he said, like that was true or that was pretty funny, like wouldn't you agree? And they'd be like, yeah. And then you can go, hey, since they said that, and then you can now, like that actually sets the tone for the rest of the conversation, right? So there's a huge sequence that you can do, but that allows you to pre-frame for your next like opt-in, whatever that is, right? That's relevant to the topic that they engaged in. Does that make sense?
Experiences that together, creating some kind of like relativity between each other. If it's after a conference, hey, what was your favorite speaker? Or if you see that they're also in Austin, and I'm in Austin, it's like, hey, saw you're in Austin local as well. Like, let's, connect. You're also in the B2B tech space, and like you're trying to find relevancy in that connection.
Yeah, because that drives the urgency. Like if you see a message that's like, hey, I just saw that you did this, like you have that's on your mind now. Now you feel like you need to respond to this guy because he took real initiative. and that is shown in how relevant his message is towards you, like with you.
I also think, everybody's thinking, what's in it for me? And so you have to quickly, like, to rise to the top, like, have something that they want. Because I mean, I'm just looking, even on this call, I've gotten like, 4 messages on LinkedIn. And I don't have time to read all of them, but if I see something that was like personal and helps me hit my goals, or bring some kind of like, hey, I'm reaching out because, of this event happened. Or like, for example, I send out a lot of messages about accepting people into our partner program. So I connect with every single one of our partners on LinkedIn. And my first message is always like, hey, I just accepted your application to be a partner. Welcome, etc. So that first message is really important to build connection and also like prove a point of like how I'm going to help give you value.
Exactly. So Robert's like, hey man, let's get to the training. All right, Robert, just for you. All right, so first thing, like I'm just messing with you. I had to call you out. So I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna show my profile and kind of break down like how I think of a profile, and then we're gonna go and like work on kind of like what would like some good pieces be, like a good bio, stuff like that. Um, Brian just asked if you guys are creating any LinkedIn related templates.
Uh, it is the personal bio template and the company bio template. We just can't brand it specifically to LinkedIn.
Yeah, and that's what we're gonna use here today. So, all right, Austin, you can see this. Share my screen. Make sure everybody else can see it. Cool. All right, so when someone looks at your profile, the first thing that they're going to do, right, is they're going to see the media. This is going to be the easiest pieces to consume. They don't even have to put forth any effort. So always have a profile picture that's, bringing in attention, and then have something in the banner that kind of like shows them like a little bit of a personal side mixed with, like for me, like just the flair of it mixed with kind of like what you do, like let them know what you do, right? And then you have your bio or this tagline where they're going to be like that's that like one message. It's almost like your elevator pitch. I like to use it in a way personally where it gets a conversation engaged, right? So ready to grow your coaching and consulting business, that gets people engaged. So when they're reading that in their head, they're like, yes, no, whatever. And then I'm actually giving a call to action. So message me LinkedIn leadership to get my free training. So someone can DM me that from checking this, and now I actually have people that have opted in that I can take and give them training, turn into a call, whatever I want to do, and also help people. And so this is a good spot, especially if you have like a book, like the LinkedIn High Ticket Handbook, or Austin, you have the subscription model one. Like this would be a perfect spot for you guys to offer that. So like ask a question that your audience is engaged with, and then give them something. Ask if they want something, because your book is a PDF, even if you want to just give it to them for free. Um, your book is a great tool for, if you guys haven't made one, it can be a great tool for pre-educating and kind of pre-selling your audience before you talk to them. So that's good. The about section, I actually need to improve mine. So we'll kind of go over that. But this is kind of like, I'd use it like a sales letter. Featured section, I like to use this for when you're thinking about your buyer and they're at different stages, right? Like I'm sure with Conversion.ai, not everybody is going to go right to the Pro Unlimited plan, even though it's ending at the end of the month, so they definitely should. But some of them might need something that's earlier on. And so maybe you have, like I have the LinkedIn High Ticket Handbook. That's something that I'm giving that's very like low barrier to entry for them to connect with me and get some of the value. And then they can get a strategy session as the other one. So you're trying to give different calls to actions that are relevant for their stages so that you're not ignoring people that are coming to you and actually have those wants. Like make it easy for them to get past that. Then we have the experience, right? So we can put company bio in there. All of that stuff is good. So before we get into the actual like Jarvis side of anything? Austin, you have any comments or questions, or does anybody have anything? We kind of
Strategy
just did like
to
a profile audit.
Yeah, let's do the back to the profile. Can you bring that up again?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you recommend for that banner? I kind of think of it as like a billboard that you have to, showcase authority and how do you help people in the world? What's your value add? But you've done it looks really clean. How did you make this? Is it in Canva? Why did you do it this way?
Yes, in Canva, and then also there's a buddy who's also in the group. His name is Nick Von Schneider, and he does branding. So he actually made this. So he like did like a survey with me, and then like you can see like the N and how it has the M and whatnot. So he kind of pulled out like what what do I want people to learn about me as characteristics just from seeing some imagery, and so try to create that. Because I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like attraction marketing or anything like that, but a lot of the stuff that's on here, you're going to pull in the people that like this kind of thing. So if I'm trying to brand it to be more attractive to my ideal avatar, so I want them to feel like this is the place that they've been looking for, and that it has the class and the strategies and makes them confident that this is something that can help them out. But on the other side, you don't want to put like an ad up there, right? You don't want to do some like crappy picture and you're like trying to just directly offer it. That's the same things we were talking before, right? Where you're just walking up to the person and you're like, here's all the reasons that you should get married. Like you don't want to do that. So you got to find that middle ground balance where it's showcasing more of you and who you are as a person, and then a little bit of what you do, right? Helping them just understand like, okay, what is this guy doing? Because these people, they could be looking at your profile and they're like at a stoplight just flipping through their phone these days, so you got to keep that in mind. People are not coming to your profile to study, so you have to pique their interest.
Yeah, just as like a template, it seems like you have helping your audience, high ticket coaches and consultants. And then how do you help them? By find leads and get sales through LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like a unique value prop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, when I look at, accepting profiles, if they just have like an unsplash image or even worse, like no image, it's just like the blank LinkedIn default. It's kind of like not a red flag, but it's just kind of like, you obviously don't use it much. This isn't, I don't understand why you're connecting with me. Whereas if I see a profile like this, it instantly like puts you in like another class of authority.
Yeah, because I can tell you're at that further stage of involvement. And Austin, how many profiles do you think that you are on from your Unsplash photos?
Oh my God. That's hilarious. I don't know, too many.
Oh man, so many.
Cool.
Anything
All
else
right,
on here you want to see?
so let's move on to the next part of the training. What do you have in store for us?
Boom. So we're going to work on a personal bio. So I think that if we're just going at it as a kind of simple structure, I think that you need a hook, and then you need kind of the content, and then the ask, right? If we just make it as simple as we can. And so for the content, since we're on LinkedIn, because as you can see, everything else is pretty good, but I need to kind of work on this area. So I think I'm going to improve my about section, because that's what people are going to see when they go to your profile and they're looking at your bio and everything, and they go, okay, I want to learn more about this guy. He's piqued my interest. A lot of times that about section is what they're going to look at. And so, you could be like, Morse is a LinkedIn expert helping coaches.
Pretty direct facts. You don't need to spice it up here. Jarvis is about to do that.
Yeah.
And so you can tell them about facts, not just only of what you do, but who you are. Are you a family man? Are you what are your hobbies? Are you like what are some of the hobbies that make you a real person as well? Because Jarvis actually is going to make you relatable. Part of what we've taught it is bringing in a human element, and also a bit of like so it kind of cuts the punch of being salesy. You want to also be a human that they're like, Okay, I could like something I have that I was messing with was like I play volleyball all the time here in Austin, and so when I created my profile with Jarvis, it was like, yeah, Austin's the CMO at Conversion AI, but when he's not, he's also playing volleyball with his friends on the weekends, and so I actually really enjoyed that Jarvis kept it that very personable, um, and sometimes I
Yeah,
get
because yeah, you see it like
small
point of
sessions
view.
sometimes.
Yeah, you see point of view like third person. Like this is great. And I don't know if you guys realize, but um, like creating content, a big part of it is not about writing the perfect thing the first time. Like anyone that has done a good amount of content marketing knows that's just not how it goes. It's more of getting everything down and then taking almost like a Michelangelo technique. And he believed that the statue was within the block of stone, right? So Jarvis basically gives you like the almost ideal block of stone to pull from. So for example, like here, this one, like I could pull things from here, right? First company is a little bit earlier than that. Um, right, we could literally just grab some. Yeah,
Stuff wrong. The point is that it's going to be unique, creative, original, spicy, fun, uh, along with relevant to the information you've given it. So, don't always expect it to be factually perfect. That's not its job. Its job is to be creative and enticing and engaging.
yeah, and look at this journey. Like the structure of what's going on is incredible. Where I have to make minimal amounts of edits. You know what I mean? Like the only thing in here is like I don't have an event production company, and so that's it. But besides that, like I didn't we made that in like 2 seconds, and that would have probably taken me like 10 minutes to really get into. So we have the kind of the content section of it. We can go, you can go deeper. And then I'd say for the hook, yeah.
Do you guys believe, or would you prefer when profiles are written in the first person or the third person?
That's a good question.
Because I mean, let's be honest, everybody writes their own LinkedIn profile. So it's like you're still talking about yourself, but when it's in the third person, it could look more authoritative. But first person also could feel more personal. And so like I'm talking directly to you. I'd be curious what the audience thinks that they prefer, and maybe that'll, shift our direction. And Nate, what's
Yeah.
your
Let me know what they say. What's up?
Nate? What's your opinion on that?
Um, I think that I think that third person is the best for the bio because you're reading about someone, but I think the rest of the conversation, like the rest of the profile needs to be conversational. So ready to grow your coaching and consulting business, right? Like we're trying to talk to them. We do not want to be a brochure. A brochure gets referenced to. It is not something that converts. So you do not want that. Like it'll convert if they're at, the furthest stage of market sophistication and they're ready to buy and they've been researching you for a while. I think it's going to be third person. But I'd love to hear what people say. Like if they say that it's first person, like I don't know, maybe I'll start writing in first person.
I think it's like, I don't know, you just did some counting. It's probably like 60 to 70% say first person and 30 to 40% say third person. Um, yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on that. I think you can go either way. Both are going to
Yeah,
look, but I could totally see your point, Nate, where if it's in about section, it's about you, it feels like a press release. Like here's what, you know, uh, kind of high overview of who you are.
yeah. And if we read like if you read Seth Godin had that This Is Marketing,
Mm.
that book, and the line was people like us do things like this. So when people are looking at your profile, uh, I just try to go off of the about section. They're going to be reading about them. So I'm assuming that the lowest point of friction for them to consume the information is where it's going to be written in the way that they most expect it. You want to make it most interesting, but I think that's where I would default to, just that way of going about it. So if you guys see what I did, I went into the perfect headline because what we need is this hook at the beginning. Because when someone goes, like, I might have to refresh it, right? But it's only going to show that first section, right? So none of anything else in this copy will matter if they don't read that first line, like if they don't get to the second line. So using the perfect headline is a great spot to see. Like I have now, what, 15 options, maybe like 12 options I can use, right? So, right, like this is probably an interesting one. Might be a little bit big. I actually might like this one. Yeah.
Between all these different templates, and you're assembling on the right in the document how
Yeah.
you're building it, kind of like these are your building blocks on the left, and then this is your tower on the right.
Yeah. No, that the 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 amount of like value that the Jarvis community got from you guys giving the long form assistant editor is like insane, because before you had to make content in all these different places, right? And that was already cutting the margin to create quality content like significantly. But now being able to put it in here and have it like all be in one spot where you're editing it and have everything on the left, and then you can go and we can rephrase this, right? And so it's just wild. It's just what a time to be alive, And so, yeah, we have the hook in here, and now it's the ask, right? So it's kind of going to be something that brings them in, tells them more about you, because that's what they're looking at in the about section, and then they want an ask. You don't want them to read it and then not get something else. So I would maybe even go, let's say if we go a little bit out of the box thinking, right? Then ticket handbook. Um, Sales.
Our editor, where it's bringing up, that way you don't have to go back to that like gallery view on the homepage. This here is like a quick access to all the templates on the left.
Oh, it's so fast. It makes it. You guys are making content marketing just like wicked fast.
So the way you set this up is you go, if you have a Pro Unlimited account, then you basically go to the content button at the top. Let me see. I'm just going to roll through this myself. Yeah, click on content and then documents, and you'll create a new document. And Nate, you want to show them the button there that opens and closes that Power Editor?
Oh yeah, you guys see up here? All right, so we have focus mode. This is when you're just writing, and like, Jarvis is an awesome tool to have, but sometimes you just got to write. You just got to get whatever you have in your head out and then go in and start like rephrasing things, stuff like that. So yeah, this is focus mode, but then up here, if you click on power mode, then now it's just a whole different beast. Like, look at
And you
look at all
can
these things.
click at the end of ask there and click
Yeah.
compose.
Oh yeah, this is where it gets fun. Like if you're like, oh man, I need a second. I just wrote all this. Jarvis will take it over for you.
So what it's going to do is Jarvis is reading the last 600 characters and is going to continue the thought. Word by word, what is the most likely word to show up next? And so yeah, that and there's some hacks and tricks and stuff that you'll see. We have like trainings in the Facebook group of like being able to use hash signs to add. We're gonna add more formatting here, but you could also use the 3 stars for it to like stop reading above it. So yeah, I mean this is where you could really do some more long form content. But as you, and also I saw in last week's training with Sean Vossler, you're using a lot of the Power Editor. Because you kind of have an idea of the direction that you want to guide Jarvis. Yeah. So the way I think about it is like in sports, you have to, if you want to move down the field, you got to run, and then you got to pass the ball. And that's Jarvis, your teammate, your assistant. Jarvis keeps running and then passes the ball back to you. And so that's kind of how this long form editor works on the right-hand side. You're just kind of going back and forth, and you have to guide Jarvis in the right direction. So let's say that, you want to do the, like you want to have a creative story in your bio, then you would go over to the left-hand side, open the Power Editor and click on creative story, and then just copy and paste that story here on the right-hand side. And you could then ask Jarvis to continue that story, that same line of thought. It'll read the story and then compose more of it on the right. So that's kind of how you can use these tools, and compose assemble the perfect content piece for yourself.
Sorry, I'm having too much fun over here. Right, and then www.book.com, whatever you want to put, right? So, or message me, get this, but like, look at, we got a decent hook, like 25% more leads in 30 days. Like that sounds pretty good, right? It's talking about me, keeps going, and then it goes never give up. So it's given some personal elements from me, right? Going, and then it's transitioning from me into, because earlier you're saying, people are thinking what's in it for me, but now it's like, what's in it for them? Like I can talk about me for a second, but like the first rule in being cool is to pass it off. So you can talk about you for a second, but then like turn it back to them. You know what I mean? So start talking about something that they're interested, like the whole reason that they're in the first place. So they found out you're a cool person, they like what you do, you show them that you have experience, you know what you're doing, and then now you're talking about, getting back into the whole purpose that they were there in the first part. And so, this talks about the LinkedIn high ticket handbook, which, I was only able to make because of this community and Darby going and creating that. But like this is a lot of fun, and that was, this was like not much work. I didn't have to go and like think a whole ton, like Jarvis did. And even when I joined, I remember I told Dave, I was like, man, this thing cuts through the gray, right? Just being able to find things to work with continuously as you're going. Because like Austin, like I could give you something like this, and then you would probably be able to like make edits quickly versus you creating your own thing. Like you'd be able to edit someone else's content quicker than you're able to edit your own. And so I think that Jarvis also gives you that ability, and that helps you do it like much quicker. I think that's one of the reasons. Would you agree with that?
It's the way I say it is like you're giving yourself a promotion as a copywriter from being a like a junior copywriter to now being chief editor, and that's saving you time. You're able to increase your bandwidth and uh, focus on more creative things in your business. Now, I'm curious, like we're here doing the company bio and the personal bio. How long should this be?
Honestly, I don't think, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, especially for the bio. I think it's okay for it to be really long. And the only reason that something long wouldn't work is because what you're writing is not good. So I think that as long as you have a good structure, um, Austin, are you talking about the overall piece?
Well, I'm saying like in your about, like your about on currently is only 3 paragraphs, contains no links, um, and no call to action. I know that we're updating it now, but I
Yeah.
think what is the structure of the ideal LinkedIn bio? Is it long form? Is it short form?
Definitely long
And
form.
do you have sections that you always include?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so definitely long form should basically be a sales page in terms of like layout, because you're selling yourself out. That's the opportunity where someone says, "Hey, I'm going to take some time and actually like study you." So like give them lots of stuff to look at. And like element wise, yeah, like you have to have the hook in the beginning. You have to get them to actually click see more to keep going, right? And then tell them about you. And then at the end, like you have to have an ask. You don't want to go through all of that and they go through all of that like reading, and you go all through the effort of creating this for them to read, and then there's nothing for them to take, no action for them to take after that. Because if they're here, like if they're at the end of your bio, like there's a good chance that they want the result that you give. So even if that's something free that builds a relationship, like I would definitely take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, and there's so many different avatars of people that are like looking at your profile for different reasons. When I have a trainer on like you, like I'm going straight to their LinkedIn. I'm going to study you. I'm going to learn about what you're into, what opportunities are available through you. And like, that's how I know about your book. I knew about it, but like
Yeah.
also your background in all of your marketing and what do people recommend you for, and what licenses do you have? Like you've gone through Conversion XL and all of this stuff. So I know about you and I can now give you a really good intro. So you also have podcasters that are looking at your profile. You have maybe investors, and then you also, of course, have prospects, which is
Yeah.
what we're focusing on in this call.
Yeah, and earlier, like we were talking about, what do you say in that message to someone? Like we live in the age of information. Like look at this bio that I just made, 292 words, right? A lot of people have big bios like this. So you can't go around saying hi or trying to pitch. Like you guys have no excuse after this because now you know a way higher level of thing that's going to work because you
Mm.
have what's going on. You can comment on these things because I'm sure everyone in the inbox, the reason that they don't like the messages that come in is because they didn't do any research. They don't actually know anything about them. So yeah, it's a lot more effort, but we have in the Apex program, that's what we do, and we have like a certification, and then we have it done for you. So there is like a process for making this happen like at scale in a quicker way. But like if you're gonna do it like you got to do it that way if you actually want good results. Otherwise, you're going to be just kind of spamming a lot of people, and that's no bueno. So
Yeah.
so if we
And
look in here
in
so
the
far,
beginning of
yeah,
this, when you were starting, you had 3 sections or something like that. What are those again? What do you always include in your
yeah.
bio?
That's what I was about to go back into. Yeah, so I know you guys saw me just rip through this. That's because this is a lot of fun. Like I love hanging out with Jarvis. And so the first thing is you want the hook, right? So numbers, people love numbers. So if you can give anything tangible, they love that. And that's going to get them to read the second line, right? So Nate Morse is a LinkedIn expert, and click see more. So you want that part that serves a huge function, and then you want some meat in there that kind of satisfies what they're looking for. And then after that, you want a call to action. So almost like how we have the problem agitate solution, but think of it as you just need a hook to even get them to that part. Like so you need one thing, and that's where like the perfect headline. I love that one. That one's good. Facebook ad headline is awesome. One that I've been using lately, Market Angles is good too. This one, I think that the feature to benefit is so underrated.
Mm.
Like because like let's
One
say
that's
LinkedIn
not talked
automation.
about enough. I
Yeah,
agree. It's
not even
underrated.
close. Not even close. Because let's say I want to make a lead magnet, right? Or I want to come up with a new book idea, and let's say I'm focusing on LinkedIn automation right now, right? If I want to see what I should call that or what I should make, right? What lead magnet I should make, like these are a lot of this is giving you wordings that people are using in this type of area because Jarvis is going and finding out things like on the internet, and then you can take these and use these and create lead magnets and give you tons of ideas, and like people have bullet points. So even here, right, like I should totally talk about a service and add some benefits in there, talk about the business, add some benefits to when I'm talking about, maybe if we're talking about a problem that people have in here, like add some bullet points. It makes the consumption way easier. We don't have enough time for me to go through and create that at that scale, but I think that the feature to benefit is a very useful template that we don't really talk about too much, but I think it can give you the ideas of what wording you should use to get people to pique their interest in what you have
Mhm.
by focusing on that benefit. Because a lot of people, they just come in and they're like, here's all the reason that this is the best, but like that person is not comparing that against other similar solutions. They're like, I just want to save time, right? So start there, start with what they want, speak their language, and then pull them into your solution. So I would use that to come up with ideas for your book or the call to action at the end, and then sprinkle them throughout. Make this like a full course meal. Give it
Mm.
some more spice. So
Sweet. I love it. So, why don't you guys go ahead and start putting questions in the chat? But I have a few of my own first. What are some exciting tools in the LinkedIn space that you're using to be more productive, to create content, to build authority, to convert sales? What are you using out there?
yeah, so I love, obviously Jarvis is awesome. We have our own software in terms of like automation, reach out for people, and that's called Apex. Um, So I don't really use ones that are out there, but like someone earlier was talking about like Phantom Buster, like that's like a good one to get started. LinkedIn has some big changes going down, so you definitely cannot be spamming now. They're kind of like lowering like how many like connection. Uh, it looks like that they're kind of making it so that you can't connect with a certain amount of people. They're like kind of putting them down. But one of the biggest contributing factors to if you get this limit is what's your acceptance rate, right? And so earlier I talked about the relevance, and so it was a perfect time because that's the approach that we were already taking, right? And so, um, so having just that process of finding things, like should be a tool for you in and of itself. Like think of it like if you take like a piece of paper or some kind of spreadsheet, like think of what is the way that I can go through and get that, and what are the steps that I would go through to research and create a process that works for me for how to connect with people and actually get a good response rate.
Mm.
Someone just said how useful are LinkedIn groups so far. So far for me, not so much. I'm sure there's some markets that have people that are active there, right? But for the most part, no. I think Facebook is awesome for groups. LinkedIn, I don't really find myself too much in groups.
As you guys know, I mean, our group on Facebook is a giant revenue driver, as well as a support community. And I like, honestly, we would never be where we are without the Conversion AI community. Like that is the whole company. The AI and all of that, that's awesome too. But like, I think just really like supporting customers, and you know, it shows also people, like I don't know even how many people are on this call that are customers versus prospects. It doesn't really matter. We're just here to deliver value for anybody that wants to pay attention. And that's the kind of like community that has been built here. I see that Reed's on here. Reed is a major contributor to the community, constantly creating trainings. I think that if you're going to do a group, Facebook is the place to build it on.
Yep.
You know, not Slack, not Telegram, not LinkedIn, but Facebook groups is the way to
I'm
go.
thinking so. Yeah, and we have, I don't know if you guys offer any training on like group building, but we have like in that, because we have a Facebook group called Leader Forge. If you guys go find that, you'll see my profile picture. Just look for the dude with the hair that's not what he was born with. And then go there and we talk about like building groups and LinkedIn and stuff like that. So I would look at that. He'll answer a couple questions in here. So Anthony was asking if we start with the long form doc or a blank doc. I would recommend, if I were you, go in with a blank doc and create your kind of your outline, right? Like even if you're making a book or whatever, I think make your outline and kind of the points of what you want in there, and use the points that you make under each section in the outline as inputs for the templates in the Power Editor, because that setting up of those original pieces, you won't have to keep writing like Nate Morse helps coaches and consultants on LinkedIn, right? Like you'll have that over there pasted, and you can just, so you can really like get into the groove between those two. So I'd say start with a blank doc, put your structure in for what it's going to be. I just did it super simple. So it was like the hook and then just the meat, which is like, you know, whether you want to use problem, agitate, solution, AIDA, something like that. I used the personal bio for this because I want to show you guys, because that's cool. That's a unique feature that, you know, most people don't do. And then
I have a question here. I'm going to share my screen
going
for a
into it.
second and bring up your profile. So I see here you have a lot of activity as well. And when I look at that, you have like a lot of these posts. You use hashtags and you're getting like a ton of engagement on these. How do you create posts like this quickly? Like how often? This is 1 week ago, 5 days ago. So it seems like you're posting multiple times.
Yep.
Is there a rhythm to this? You know, is there a structure?
Yeah.
How do you do this?
Yeah, so I really like writing long form content on LinkedIn. I've been doing that for a while. So I use it on Facebook too. And one interesting thing about LinkedIn is that, so let's say Facebook, you're checking out someone's profile, you're going to see their posts, right? And you're going to be looking at that a lot. But in LinkedIn, you actually don't see their posts on the profile. You actually have to go a couple levels deep. So that's why like the bio and the about section, all of that is more important. I know you guys maybe were like, hey, how do we make, you know, super baller badass posts? But like the about section is what they're going to look at first. So like you have to have like that profile locked down and understand that, because the posts don't matter basically until they connect. Even though like the algorithm is like, you know, if your followers engage, then it shows it to their followers, and then there's layers of the network, right? But I like long form posts. Like I think that people just on LinkedIn that just works better. And so I don't really have like a rhythm for it. I just put out a post every few days.
Posts and documents. Is there one that we should ignore and then one that we should focus on?
I think articles, you should have a few. I think it helps you in the algorithm just having some, like for your profile, almost like a
Hey, look at that.
almost like a domain authority. Yep. Does that look familiar? Yeah. So I think articles, there's a post, there's a character limit on LinkedIn. So at one point you basically got to go to articles. But I don't think they get looked at that much. I think posts do way better. So I think that even like linking to something.
Hmm. And this is like even a short post, like the article. This could have been in the form of a post, but you notice that it doesn't have any likes or comments compared to your posts here, which are getting massive amount of engagement.
Yeah, I think posts do way better.
Yeah.
For sure. So articles are cool. They establish credibility. If someone looks into you more,
Okay.
then
Cool.
that's good. But yeah, I put out post. It's not like I think Facebook is more where like it's, make one every single day and that helps in the algorithm. I don't think LinkedIn is like that as much. So I just put out posts when I have good content. But what I will say is in terms of making the posts is don't try to focus on like teaching so much. Focus on helping them think better. Because a lot of times, like whoever your clients are, like one of the reasons that they're not connecting with you is because they do not, they have some way of thinking that is incorrect about what you do based on some belief and story that they had in the past. So put out personal stories that you have been through, or like your clients have been through, or something that you've seen, and give them a example of how what they experienced before may not actually be the case, right? And show them that because you're different than them, like whatever they experienced before. Right. So I like posts like that kind of shift the way that people think. Less so much about teaching. The teaching is for once they want you to help them along the way. Right.
Yeah, sure. There's that famous saying for the information industry that's like your free content is what to do and why to do it. Your paid content or paid training or paid consulting, your business is how to do it. So
Yeah.
the what and the why are free, the how is paid.
Yeah. And one thing, like for your clients, like you don't want to rob people the opportunity. Like if we talk about money for a second, you don't want to rob people the opportunity of paying because that actually puts them in the conditions to act on it. If I give you a book that's like a $5 book, it's going to be like nothing. Or if you go buy a $5 book, $10 book, if you don't execute on it, you're not going to feel bad. But if you invest, you're going to take action on that. So you got to remember that the conditions you create for your customers, even them paying, actually has a huge deal in terms of them having the conditions that allows them to turn into the person that they need to be to
Yeah,
get
we
the
pay
results that
attention
they
to things
want.
we pay for, right?
Yeah, exactly. Agreed.
Cool. What tools are you using?
Like for LinkedIn, like, or
Yeah.
just like on marketing in
LinkedIn, I
general.
mean, not just in general, but like, yeah, like
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, how do you grow? Do you use a scheduler? Do you use any automation? What's your tech stack look like?
Yeah, so I mean it's literally just the Apex. Like we just
Okay.
integrate with that, and a lot of it is going out. Like we have our team that'll go and find like all the content pieces, all the right people, create all the right campaigns, and then put it down there. Because there's a lot of tools, but we just wanted to make one that was ours. And as things get more crazy, we just wanted to have like more control over it. So that's what we use for that. But like, definitely have like active campaigns, stuff like that. Because once you get people connected, like Calendly, you got to have all this stuff.
Where do they find the Apex tool? Chris is asking.
Yeah, so they would just get in contact with us. So they could go to like natemorse.com and like they could shoot us a message. They could shoot me an email at natemorse.com. And then we would get on a call, show you guys how the process works. I actually have one of my guys, Mike, might even be in here. So we can make it so people can get contacted if they want that. If
Cool.
we do, Austin, if we can grab like a list, if everybody wants to like throw in here, like if they are interested in getting more information, oh, there's Mike. Maybe we could get a list and then we could follow up with these people after.
Sweet. As we're wrapping up here, we're on the hour. I want to hear any other questions for Nate. If you guys if you're watching this on a replay, Nate, where should they ask the question? You wanted them to like message you on LinkedIn?
Oh,
You
yeah,
want them to
LinkedIn would be
post on
perfect.
yeah,
LinkedIn would be
LinkedIn's
perfect.
good?
If you guys message me on LinkedIn, that's like the fastest, most ideal way.
Cool.
Yeah. And then
Sweet.
if you anywhere on here, Austin, if like after this, if I can get a list of these, then I can get in contact with these people.
Yeah. You got it, buddy. Cool. So let's hear any final questions before we move on.
And just remember, guys, going back for the beginning, like you are at the point, if you look at human history, right, up until 20 years ago, there was like no internet, and then now everybody after that, like everybody will start getting adapted to it right now, and now the pot is stirred. So like it's a land grab for everything everywhere, and Jarvis can help you make that land grab way quicker. Like you can cut through the gray and create content like insanely fast. And then Brian, you said how often is a good post schedule? Do once a day. Just get into it, figure out what works, and then go from there. That's what I think is a good way to go about it.
Love that.
And pictures from you. Don't use stock images, even though you showed some with you. Like take a picture like of yourself or you took. People like that more. They like that personalness,
Yeah, it seems to me that LinkedIn is getting more Facebook vibes recently.
Yeah.
Like the news feed is getting much more personal, and stories are crushing it. From what I've seen on other people that are crushing it in LinkedIn, they're writing stories. And so I would recommend for using the creative storyteller.
The story one. Break some false beliefs, rebuild. Yes.
It's good. Very
and
good.
Stories drive emotion, right? If anyone read Pitch Perfect, right? Hot cognition, cold cognition. If anyone is ever in an analytical state and they're kind of down or they're really looking into things, stories are the best way for them to kind of like understand what you're really saying and kind of get into the right state. So stories are awesome. They're like one of the best tools for marketing.
It's true. Yeah. So thank you so much, Nate, for doing this training with us. People are already saying how much value that you've given them today. If you guys are looking to connect with Nate, I would say get him on LinkedIn, get his book, check out natemorris.com, and you're often contributing in the Facebook group as well. So he's in there. And yeah, thanks so much for hopping on, everyone. And we'll see you in the Facebook group.
Thanks for joining, guys. See you in the group.
Cheers.